new moon is in the sky, a 23-inch metal sphere placed in orbit by a Russian rocket.
And this generation does not intend to founder in the backwash of the coming age of space.
At Cape Canaveral, Florida, the Army's Jupiter C rocket is ready for America's second attempt to launch a space satellite.
Questions that have arisen in the West about the validity of his flight have no place here today, as the crowds go wild over the first man to conquer space.
Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and one we intend to win, and one we intend to win, and one we intend to win.
All of you on this Twitter.
So let's get straight to the juicy stuff, sourcing your copyright-free historical footage. I mostly find my footage on archive.org, also called the Internet Archive. It's a massive library where people have uploaded millions of old films, documentaries, and newsreels. You may be familiar with the Wayback Machine, which allows you to view a snapshot of a website from the past. This whole project is a mammoth undertaking with over 99 petabytes of data stored and shared publicly. If you find yourself using it for your own projects, please consider making a donation to help keep this service available for everyone to use in the future. Let's click on the video archive section and go to all video. Since our first scene in the intro is covering the Russian satellite launch, let's search for Sputnik. As you can see, we get a large selection of results. You can further narrow your results by using the filters section on the right. Let's take a look at this one called View from Space. This one looks ideal for our project, but this is not public domain material, meaning it is still in copyright protection. Unfortunately, there are no filters for licensing on the search page, but after doing a bit of digging, I have found a workaround. Go to the search bar again, and this time, start by typing the following search query in the bar, and then input the search term we used earlier, and bingo. We now have tailored search results, only showing the public domain footage, which we can use freely in our projects. At this point, it's a good idea to structure the timeline for your documentary and separate it into chapters, so you know exactly the materials needed for each section before you start searching. To save you some time, I have created a custom GPT that will do all of the heavy lifting for you. Simply input a few details about the historical documentary you intend to create, and together, you and the AI will map out a clear timeline with chapters and subsections, so you'll know exactly where your story begins, what the key turning points are, and how it all ties together. The GPT will then go and source public domain or royalty-free footage for each section of your documentary. That means you're not spending hours digging through archives. You'll already have a curated list of safe-to-use clips that match your chapters. And for ChatGPT Pro users, you can also access a GPT Agent. This acts as your production assistant. It sources all the archival footage, records the rights info, organizes everything into a spreadsheet with direct download links, all bundled into one highly organized project folder. You can access all of this, plus an editable Canva template file that allows you to easily replicate the scenes from my demo over on my Patreon. Now that our footage is sourced and ready to go, let's jump into Canva and start editing. I am using a 16:9 video crop in keeping with the standard doc style format. So for the intro, the first thing we will want to do is lay out all of the clips that we intend to use and crop out the segments that will best tell an outline of the overall story behind the documentary. Just a quick note on the downloaded video file from archive.org. In some cases, the files are in OGV format. To fix this, you need to do the following. 1. Download VLC Player and install it on your machine. 2. Go to Media, Convert, and Save. 3. Add the OGV file, then press Convert. 4. Under Profile, select MP4 with H.264 codec. 5. Select a destination folder. Click Start, and you are done. With the main storyline finalized, you should have something like this.
Today, a new moon is in the sky, a 23-inch metal sphere placed in orbit by a Russian rocket.
And this generation does not intend to founder in the backwash of the coming age of space.
This close-up of the United States edition of... Some 3 minutes later.
Questions that have arisen in the West about the validity of his...
Now let's start sprucing things up a little. Let's start by laying down our music track. Open the audio section and search for an artist called Rockot. This artist produces a variety of genres from electronic to orchestral, and I have found their intros, in particular, to be fitting soundscapes for documentary editing. Select the track called My Breakbeats and place it on the timeline like so. You may have noticed that I used some glitchy transitions in this one. These are not native transitions to Canva. Let me show you how it's done. Firstly, let's start with the opener. Go to the Videos section and search for Analog Glitch. Select this one, place it before the first clip on the timeline, and crop it down to 0.2 of a second. Let's add a bit of sound design. Go back to the audio section and filter for sound effects. Search for Sci-Fi Computer 3. Place it directly beneath the glitch footage and trim it to the size of the clip. Now create an empty page, change the background color to black, and set the duration to 0.1 of a second.
Today, a new moon is in the sky.
There is still room for a bit of intro excitement, so let's go back to the sound effects library and search for Galactic Swoosh. Place it at the start of the timeline and trim it so it lines up with the transition into the newsreel clip.
Today, a new moon is in the sky.
Paste this set name into the Elements tab and start to build a vintage video frame around the footage and group all of the layers together for use in later scenes. Press T to open the text tool and type out the year in question. In this case, it's 1957. Change the font to something chunky like the League Spartan font and reposition it like so. To add to the glitchy aesthetic, open a new page, paste a copy of the text onto the page, export as a PNG with a transparent background, and re-import to the newsreel page. Right-click on the original text layer and select Show Element Timing. Reduce the start and end times so the layer appears in the middle of the scene roughly. Then do the same with the image version, but with an even smaller window. With the image layer selected, open the Edit tab and in the Apps section, select the Trippy app. Give it a subtle effect, making sure the text is still legible. Then click Save. Now with the layer still selected, open the Animations panel and give it a neon animation, making sure both is selected.
Metal sphere placed in...
We will come back to more sound design for these parts at the end of the tutorial. Open the Layers panel and select the newsreel footage layer. Click on the Audio Tools feature and select Extract Audio. This tool separates the audio file from the footage, meaning we can make adjustments to the video without affecting the audio and vice versa. Place an empty page after this scene. Then trim the end of the footage back so we are left with a section that mentions a Russian rocket.
Placed in orbit by a Russian rocket. Orbit by a Russian rocket.
Let's get to work on that. Open the Video tab and search for Glitch TV. Select one you like and trim it down to 0.01 of a second to lead into the next scene. Set the background color of the empty page to a strong red. Open the Photos library and search for Old Soviet Union map. Select this one, resize it so it covers the entire canvas, and set the transparency to 40%. Press R to create a rectangle. Set the color to the same shade of red and reduce the transparency to 40%. Search for a free-to-use image of the main subject for this scene and place it on the canvas. Remove the background like so, and with the image selected, open the adjustment panel and make slight changes to the contrast and texture settings. Next, open the Elements tab and search for Grunge Texture. Select this one, and with Alt selected, create a wall of them covering the canvas completely. Hold Shift, select all of them, and group them together. Go back to the Elements tab, search for 16:9 vignette. Select this one and enlarge it to the full size of the canvas. Go to Google and search for the Baran USSR font. Double-check the license is free to use, then download it to your machine. Go back to Canva, press T to open the text tool, and type out Soviet Russia. Open the font selection panel, and at the bottom, click on Upload Font. Make sure you unzip the folder you downloaded earlier, then select the font file to upload to Canva. With the new font uploaded, go ahead and resize the text layer like so. Create a duplicate by pressing Ctrl D, and make sure the second version is sitting directly over the first one. Open the Effects panel, and give the top layer a hollow effect, setting the thickness to 10. Now open the layer panel and move the bottom text layer behind the subject layer, like so. Select the subject layer and give it a neon animation, making sure both is selected. Reduce the page duration to less than 1 second and have the subject layer appear later in the scene. Duplicate the page, open the Animations panel, and clear any existing animations. Select the text layers and the subject layer and increase them in size, like so. Reduce this page duration even more, and let's have a quick preview of how that turned out.
Orbit by a Russian rocket.
And this generation.
Nice. With that section of the edit covered, you should have everything you need to complete the rest of the scenes, up to the exit title reveal. Let's get to work on that. We can start from this scene of JFK, which you may have noticed has an echo effect, which leads into the closing title.
One we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and one we intend to win, and one we intend to win, and one we intend to win.
With the clip trimmed to your liking, copy the clip like so, open a completely new video design, and paste it onto the timeline. Download the video in 4K resolution, and then head to the description of this video, where you can find the download link to a free audio editing tool called Audacity. First, convert the video we just downloaded to an MP3 file by following the steps we used earlier with the VLC player. Open Audacity and import the audio file we just converted. Find the section of the audio you would like to repeat.
One we intend to win.
Then highlight it along with a larger empty space preceding it so we have room to generate the audio tail. Go to Effects, Delay, and Reverb, Delay. Here, you can adjust the parameters to change things like the length of the delay and pitch shift if desired. If you are trying to beat sync the delay effect to your music track, it's a good idea to import the music to the second track in Audacity to effectively test it. Let's preview what this sounds like.
One we intend to win. One we intend to win. One we intend to win. One we intend.
When you are happy, click Apply, and as you will see, the delay tail has been added to our audio file. Before we export it, press Ctrl A to select the whole track, and in the Effects panel, go to Volume and Compression, Normalize. Set the peak amplitude to 0 decibels. This sets the audio levels to the maximum without creating any distortion. When you are ready, go to File, Export Audio, and save it as an MP3 file. Import it to Canva, position it below the relating video clip, and make sure to line it up exactly to the original. Make sure to mute the video clip, and now you can trim it back without losing the audio tail.
Postpone, and one we intend to win. One we intend to win. One we.
Place a dissolve transition between the two pages at a 1.8 second duration. Type out Space Race on the next page and set the font to the League Spartan font. Resize it like so, then open the Effects panel and give it a neon effect at 50% intensity. Open the Animations panel and give it a Clarify animation, making sure On Enter is selected and set the speed parameter to the minimum. Adjust the start timing so it starts to animate after the dissolve transition has completed. Type out "the" and set it to the USSR font we uploaded earlier. Open the Effects panel and give it a hollow effect and set the thickness to 50. Give it a neon animation and set it to come in as the main title has finished animating. Duplicate the page, remove all animations from the second versions, and set all of the timings back to the start. Open the video library and search for Space. Find this one and place it on the canvas above the footage of Earth. Trim it to the end of the Earth clip and give it a fade animation. That brings us nicely onto the scrolling chapter effect. But this one is going to need a full tutorial of its own. Be sure to subscribe to catch that one when it comes out, and check out my Patreon to access all of the goodies mentioned throughout the video. Until next time.